It's Tuesday, November 13th. Over 56% of the electorate had turned out to vote in Phase 1 of the Assembly elections in Chhattisgarh on Monday. The final turnout for the 18 seats that polled in Phase 1 is expected to be higher. Of the 18 seats that went to the polls on Monday, 12 are in Naxal-affected Bastar region. In the 2013 Assembly elections, 68 of the 2,634 polling stations in Bastar recorded zero voting, and about 80 polling stations recorded less than 20 votes. Violence in the region has marked the lead up to these elections too. This included the killing of a Doordarshan camera person and several security personnel. Bastar, divided into 7 districts of Sukhma, Dantewada, Bijapur, Bastar, Kondagaon, Kanker and Narayanpur, could hold the key to who forms the government. 11 of the 29 scheduled tribe reserved constituencies lie in Bastar, which means the region represents more than a third of the Adivasi voice in the assembly. In 2013, the Congress had won 8 of the region's 12 seats, halting the BJP's ascendance in this area. Will the BJP recover the seats it lost? What could prove crucial here is the impact of new entrants in the fray, such as the Aam Aadmi Party and Ajit Jogi's Janata Congress Chhattisgarh. A key factor in these elections in Bastar is also the ability of the Maoists to enforce a boycott. This varies from area to area. Another notable factor was the share of Nota or none of the above option in the 2013 Assembly election. Of the total 1,30,29,558 electors in the state, over 4 lakh voters pressed the Nota button, of which 20% were cast in Bastar's 12 constituencies. That year, security personnel had confirmed that during their election surveillance they found Maoists, alongside urging voters to boycott elections, were also educating the villagers about Nota and encouraging them to press the Nota button, if at all they had to vote. Stating that it fully complied with procedure as laid down in the Defence Procurement Procedure 2013, while awarding the deal for the purchase of 36 Rafale fighter aircraft, the government shared details of the decision-making process with petitioners who have alleged criminal misconduct by public functionaries in the transaction. The government said after the Indian negotiation team submitted its report on fully loaded 36 Rafale jets on the 4th of August 2016, it was vetted by Finance and Law Ministries within 20 days, and the Cabinet Committee on Security approved the deal on August 24, 2016. Responding to the opposition's allegations of cronyism in Anil Ambani's Reliance Defence being picked to partner Rafale manufacturer French company Dassault as the offset partner at the cost of India's public sector aerospace and defence unit HAL, when Reliance Defence had no experience in aerospace technology, the government said, insofar as discharging of the offset obligations by Dassault and Tier 1 vendors through Indian offset partners is concerned, there is no mention of any private Indian business house in intergovernmental agreement or offset contract. Basically, a reiteration that the government had no role in selection of the Indian offset partner. Now, the pricing details, also a subject of much speculation and controversy, were submitted in a sealed envelope to the Supreme Court. The Business Standard, in a 3-part series published last week, reported that the NDA government paid Rafale manufacturer French vendor Dassault €7.85 billion for 36 Rafale fighter, an average per fighter cost of €217 million. That is 40% higher per aircraft than Dassault's quote of €19.5 billion for 126 fighters or €155 million per Rafale that it submitted in response to an eventually aborted tender issued in 2007. On the government's claims that the 36 Rafale contract of 2016 contains elements beyond those in the 2007 request for proposal, Business Standard maintains that it has reviewed the 2007 request for proposal in detail, and the terms, conditions and aircraft configuration in the 36 Rafale deal in 2016 were almost identical to the Indian Air Force specifications in the 2007 tender termed Request for Proposals. A senior Air India pilot has been barred from flying for at least 3 years after he failed 2 breathalyzer tests shortly before a New Delhi-London flight on Sunday. Captain Arvind Katpalia also holds charge as Director of Operations at Air India. A spokesperson for India's aviation watchdog, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, said the privileges of his license have been suspended for a period of 3 years as per the provisions of applicable regulations. Reuters quoted Katpalia as saying it was 1:30 in the afternoon. Only a stark raving alcoholic is drunk at 1:30 in the afternoon. I am going to contest this. Katpalia blamed internal politics for the test reading, saying he was tested twice in a span of 20 minutes and that the second test reading was higher than the first. Arvind Katpalia, though, is an alleged repeat offender. In August this year, a court had directed the Delhi police to file an FIR against him for tampering with evidence and intimidating a doctor. This was in a complaint filed by the Indian Pilots Association in January 2017 that said Katpalia had proceeded to operate a Delhi-Bangalore flight without undergoing the mandatory breathalyzer test. He is alleged to have later made a forged entry in the pre-flight breath analyzer examination register. He was suspended for 3 months. Interestingly, Katpalia was promoted by Air India after this incident. Union Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Chemicals and Fertilizers Ananth Kumar died in Bangalore on Monday. 59-year-old Kumar was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer in June. A 6-time Member of Parliament from Bangalore South, Ananth Kumar held multiple portfolios in the Vajpayee cabinet as well. A rising tide of nationalism is pushing ordinary people in India to share fake news, as per a BBC research that forms part of its Beyond Fake News series. The research focused on how ordinary citizens engage with and spread fake news. Participants, the BBC says, gave them extensive access to their phones over a 7-day period, allowing their researchers to examine the kinds of material they shared, whom they shared with, and how often. Here are some of the key findings. Distrust of mainstream news outlets pushed people to spread information from alternative sources without attempting to verify it, in the belief they were helping spread the real story. People were also overly confident in their ability to spot fake news. A social media analysis suggested that right-wing networks are much more organized than the left, pushing nationalistic fake stories further. There was also an overlap of fake news sources on Twitter and support networks of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What is the methodology used? BBC says it used qualitative research techniques like in-depth interviews and up-close observation of sharing behaviors. Given the nature of encrypted private networks such as WhatsApp, visiting people at home, the BBC says, was essential. It also used data science and network analysis techniques to understand how known sources of fake news are organized on Twitter and Facebook and what their connections are with audiences. Love your morning fix? Help support our journalism. Subscribe to Scroll Plus using the link in the description.